Hello, everybody. I'm Steve, and this is Brandy, and we're here with EpicTalez.
Yeah, what's up? How you guys doing today? I'm just gonna say this right now, like, just to set the tone. Like, if you haven't read Blood Song, you have to read it. It's such a good book. It's such a good book. Well, do we need to do more intro?
Yeah. Let's see. We're having a group read for the trilogy for the um, Raven Shadow. I keep singing Raven song. For the Raven Shadow trilogy, we're doing a book each month, and the first book is Blood Song. So we're going to be having a meetup each month. This book is on my channel. Next month will be on Yolene's channel, and then the last book will be on Epic's channel.
Yeah.
So we're here to talk all things Blood Song. So if you have not read it, go read it and then come back and watch. But if you have read it, then let's chat about it. So, what did you think?
First of all, like, what kind of fantasy would you? Hey, how you
Hey,
doing?
there's Mitch.
Oh, sorry, I'm a little late.
Oh, I was running a little late too, so you're good.
So, what kind of fantasy would you classify this as? Is it dark? Is it grim dark? Is it high fantasy?
I would probably say grimdark.
Grimdark, eh? Wow.
Yeah.
Like, I love this book so much. It was just so well put together. I don't have anything particularly negative to say. Like, there's nothing like so that's negative that is important that I feel like I have to say. But I enjoy the book altogether. Like, the fact that it's so character driven, and the ordeals that damn it, I keep getting names. Valen, the ordeals that Valen goes through, like, all from his childhood, and like his relationship with his dad, his relationship with his mom, like how information comes out, his experiences. Like, I could see how that was changing his character. Like, the character development is so good. Anthony Ryan is right up there for me right now.
Yeah.
And this was his first book too.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this was his debut as well. I saw that today, it blew my mind. I was like, wow.
What
Yeah,
did you
this
think?
book was amazing.
Yeah, wow. Like, yeah. Let me not talk. Let me not take over. Like, I have
No,
a
you're
bad
good.
habit. I'm just excited. Like, what did you think about the book?
I loved it. Exactly what you said. The character work was just amazing. I loved seeing. I really liked the like narrative structure it was told through, where it's like Valen telling a story to Vernier. I always loved that like plot device, and then seeing Valen grow up from being so young and so innocent, and then like going through all those trials and tribulations, like you said, was just so cool. I loved. This book was amazing. Honestly, like it had me gripped. Like I couldn't put it down.
I couldn't put it down. Like, from the first sentence, like, I was just going. I can't remember the last time I picked up a book and, like, I was reading it and I didn't get to any point where I was bored, or I was like, oh, I just want this part to end. I wanted to know everything as it was happening. I really, really enjoyed this book.
What'd you think?
I really liked it too. For me, I came to it after DNFing Malice. I found out that I'm not really a high fantasy type person. So I think Malice would probably be good for people that are into that. But for me, I think I'm really finding out that I like dark or grimdark. So coming from that to this was so good, and I really loved that it just centered around one character basically, and it wasn't like changing points of view throughout the book, except for like the Vernier account or whatever. But I just enjoyed it. I was like Epic. I didn't find any boring parts, or I just like the journey, and I love a coming of age story. I really do. So
Yeah, just like you said, I don't think I've ever read a grimdark story before. I've read Game of Thrones, if that's considered grimdark, but that's the only thing. And I was just like, I was into it. Like I love how like gritty and grimy the world is, and I love how like nothing quite goes right. Like there's always something going wrong, and it's fun to see like Valen overcoming all of these challenges. It was just like it was a great setting, honestly, and there were so many like plot lines interweaving. And then with, are we doing spoilers? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Spoiler,
okay,
go for
cool.
it.
Talk about
And then
it, man.
with Valen and King Janus, and he just like trying to maneuver that and like hold his honor and hold his like beliefs while still doing all of those things. And then the plot line with like Sharon, it's just everything like came together so well, and there was so much conflict that like it was awesome.
I love the dynamic of the conflict he has with himself every time he's
Yeah.
making a decision. He doesn't like it's such a it's so like I I I I can't like I'm just like I'm
Go for
tired.
it.
I like this like I see okay as I'm a writer I like just reading this like I'm rethinking how I want to write my book. Like I'm not even joking. Like this Anthony Ryan is a hell of a writer. He's a hell of like are you kidding me? Like no, no, for real. Like I'm not even like I'm trying to keep it down. I'm trying to keep my excitement down. Like the so like for instance like there's so much depth in the characters, like even the characters that were not center stage, like we're not like because it's all focused on Valen, right? Even the characters that were just like there, like his friends, his brothers, and all that stuff, like his relationship with them, and like they are fleshed out enough, like enough that I'm satisfied, and like they are all different, they are all distinctive as well, you know. And it's just I love his character, like as I love that kind of that kind of protagonist, you know.
And I won't give any spoilers for Malice away, but for anyone who hasn't read it yet. But there was things in Malice that we talked about during the spoiler stream that didn't feel earned, or didn't feel like you didn't really care. And in this book, things were earned.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The moments were earned,
For
and they
sure.
meant something.
Yes, the writer
Oh,
made
man.
you feel exactly what he wanted you to feel when he wrote. Like he wanted you to feel a certain way, and he pulled it up every time.
Yeah, I felt like such. I felt like I knew all of the other characters so well. Obviously, we knew Valen so well because he was the main character, but Barkis and Norta and Dentos and all his other brothers, I feel like I really knew them. And then the friendship with people. I don't know if you guys have read The Lies of Locke Lamora, but people say that the friendship in that book is really really good, and this book, just like the friendships and the relationships, honestly is unmatched in anything that I've read. Like I felt their connection when Dentos died. I felt Valen's hurt. I when he had to chase down Norta and make that decision that okay, I gotta go kill him because he like betrayed the order. I felt his pain when he got there and he was like reckoned with Norta and saw that he was living such a good life and was so happy for him. Like that was amazing. Like you felt the connection, which is pretty rare to see in books, to be honest.
Forgive me. What was the name of the youngest one, the one that came after that wasn't part of the initial?
Francis.
Yeah.
Yes, yo, when those guys kidnapped him, I was like, damn it, this is a grimdark book. He's going to die.
Yeah.
I was like, no. I was like, no. And then they were like, oh, the bodies were hanging from the thing. I was like, no. He was like, they didn't recognize them. When he ended up being alive, I was so happy.
Yeah.
I was so happy, man. Ah.
But those moments, you felt it because there was a possibility.
It could have like the book could have done it, like, you know, like with a, and I don't want to like I hate to compare it to Malice because like it's literally the last book I read.
Yeah,
like
it's hard
but
not to.
but it's like so there's something with Malice, right? Like this is a character driven story, so it's not very plot based, so it doesn't feel very planned out. Things are happening from like we're experiencing from Villain's experience. Malice is very well plotted out, you know. So Malice, you can see like the stuff that has been set up, right? And
Like,
then like
point.
point, you see things arranged in a particular sequence, and like when those emotional moments are supposed to hit, they don't hit. But this is a character driven story, and like I don't know if he was free forming or if he had an like a soft outline, but it just flows so well. The pacing is just like I was not bored throughout, you know. Like, see, oh my god, wow. I loved it. I'm gonna do a crazy review for this book.
Nice.
It was so good, and I totally agree with what you're saying because there are books that I read. I keep thinking back to Game of Thrones, where you get entire chapters, specifically of like people traveling and getting from one place to another and things like that, which kind of bog the story down. And there are interesting things that happen. But with this story, the pacing was so good because like we'd go from one chapter to another and it'd be like 2 months have passed and you're like, whoa, okay. And then he explains what happened in those 2 months so well. It doesn't feel like info dumpy at all. It feels pretty well like and succinctly explained, and then we just get into the action and into like really the meat of the story. And it was nonstop. There was just always something happening. It was ridiculous. It was so good.
I'm not going to make another comparison to the book that we keep mentioning, but from where he and you guys have already mentioned it, but from where he was at the beginning to even a few chapters in, it's a huge difference. But you felt the journey, like you felt his conflicts and what he went through. There was a process. It wasn't just he was perfect at everything right away. He had to earn it. So by the end, when he was this big badass, you knew he went through all these things to get there. So it felt earned. Like you felt like it meant something.
And I like to like you were saying that there could be a time jump, but you didn't feel like you missed anything. But you also didn't have to, get through the whole next 2 years in great detail. The author could just convey that in like a paragraph or a page, what happened in that 2 years, so that it wasn't drawn out.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, it's like every sentence like had a purpose. It's like it was it's very very like so like, get this right. I don't think that um like I don't think his prose is fully developed, right? But the direction he's heading, I want to see where he gets, because he doesn't get flowered. Like, you can be reading a sentence, right? And just because of how prosy it is, how flowery they are trying to make it, like it's like, okay, you're trying to make the connection and your brain has to like adjust to the prose. Like every word in this book was like just placed where it was supposed to be. And like if he can keep that level of efficiency and like his prose improves, wow, what a writer he would be. This was his debut novel, bro. Like, wow.
Yeah.
He's really inspired me for real. He's
What,
really,
what I
really
really
inspired me.
what I really liked about this, with his prose, honestly, I'm not one to pay much attention to the prose of a story, but I do like, obviously you can tell when an author has clunky writing. You can tell when their writing still needs to develop a bit. I feel like his writing was pretty well put together, and it was written in a way that was easy to read. It was really simple. There's some authors where you need to take your time reading line by line, sentence by sentence, because it gets a little flowery, it gets a little complicated. But this wasn't bad writing. It was simple to the point, and it got the message across, and I loved it. Like, it was such an easy read, and it just, I feel like it was perfect for the type of story that it was telling too.
And it wasn't just like it wasn't, because there's also a thing about writing something too simple that I don't like. There's also
Yeah.
a thing like if there's a simplicity, it's like nah, like nah, I'm trying to read a book,
Yeah.
But like this was like it was just nice, just got it, man.
Yeah.
It's so well put together. What a book! Wow.
Wow.
If I didn't have so many books to read, I would just like, this is the kind of thing where I would just marathon it, like just like sacrifice a week of my life,
Yeah.
and just like fly through it.
Definitely.
How excited are you for the next book? Oh my god.
Very. Well,
Wow.
one thing I'm interested in is that how this book, like, it followed his life from when he was dropped off at the order until, like, the later stages of his life with the battle and everything, right? So you see him grow up. It spans like a really long time. So I'm really curious to see how the story is going to play out in the next story, in the next book, because obviously it's not going to follow that much of a length of time, because that's, like, just logically that's not what's going to happen. So I'm really interested to see how the story structure is going to be and how it compares to this first one.
And in this book, in this one, when you finish, when you have a minute to reflect on it, you think of all the things that happened, and there's so much that happens, but it doesn't feel like a lot. It doesn't feel real heavy. It doesn't feel like it's stuffed. It's a lot happens, but it doesn't. Like you guys have mentioned, the pacing is really good, so it doesn't feel like you're being like they're stuffing it down your throat. It just so much happens though. Like from where he starts to where he ends is a huge.
It's a huge, yeah, and like I'm not quite sure. Like I don't his character, his character, like his characters are so well defined and distinctive that like I don't have a problem. Like I didn't find myself like having to remember who somebody was. Like because I don't want to compare to something else we've spoken about before, but like I knew who everybody was at every time, like, and I was able to pick up from the last time they were mentioned, so everything just flowed so well, you know.
Yeah, and the names were very distinct from each other, so there was no confusing.
Yeah,
they weren't close in pronunciation or anything like that, so it was easier for me.
I think that's something I struggle with sometimes, remembering all the names, remembering exactly who someone is. And I think this book did a really good job of exactly that, where I was reading and only like once or twice with a minor character, I forgot who it was. But all the main characters and like the important supporting cast, I remembered them all perfectly. But what I really liked was that I read it on my iPad, and so it was really nice to sometimes I'd forget who this minor character was, and I can like search up their name and go to their first instance and be like, oh yeah, okay, this is who they are, and then it flowed really easily. But besides like one or two minor characters, it was really easygoing, and that's something I really have a hard time with these like bigger fantasy stories.
Yeah. Wow. Like I'm so happy I read this book. I'm so happy I did. Like I've read a good book now, like it's so like it's refreshing. It's refreshing because like recently I've been reading all kinds of stuff and like it hasn't quite been like clicking for me. But this one clicked. This one clicked well.
Yeah.
Valen is such a cool character. He's such a cool character. He's so cool. He's so cool. Like and even like his animal companions. I love how like every time he was going to do something that was like against his nature, against his song, like the wolf would just come and like like just stop him or like and like you see like so the first time the wolf is mentioned, I'm like, okay, why didn't this wolf eat him? Oh shit, it's protecting him. The next time it's like, okay, this guy is like his conscience is like he's about to do something that he doesn't really want to do, and the wolf comes and like, you know what, like don't murder that guy. And I'm just curious about what that wolf is, and then like as it starts getting explained, like that, just see how he just created mystery there, and he just left it like like I it's just like some subtle things he did here and there in the book, and like I don't know if so from the perspective of a writer, right? I'm trying to like judge, like trying to like project or try and like I'm trying to posit his intentions, right? When every time I see a payoff, and then I'm asking myself, why does this? Why how why am I getting such a strong emotional reaction at this point? And I'm just like, wow, like it's a character, it's not plot based, like how like I'm going to read this book again, and I'm going to study, I'm going to yeah I want to break it down, like.
And speaking of his companion, Scratch was his
Was the dog.
It was a dog, yeah.
That was done right.
Yes, that was done very right.
You felt it. It was that moment at the end was earned, and you knew there wasn't going to be a happy ending for that once things started happening.
Yeah.
And I liked how his horse was an asshole, and just nobody wanted to. He was just a pain in the ass. But he held on to him for this long. I like that
Yeah.
about it too.
I really like that in books when like the characters' animals, their pets, fit their personality well. And not to say that Valen is like Spit, where he's like grumpy and like mean and stuff like that, but the personality of Spit fit well. It like complemented his character. Like it was, you could tell that the horse was meant for him. And I really like when books do that, because it just, I don't know. It's nice that like everything fits so well together. And everyone always questioned me, is like, why do you keep this like crap horse around? Like he's good for nothing. He makes a lot of noise. He's stubborn and everything. But there's just that connection because they fit so well together.
Yeah, and I feel like with his animal companions is it's like it's very defined. It's like what you're talking about is very clear, but like also it was his relationship with everybody else, like his relationship with the king, his relationship with the princess, his relationship with damn it, I keep forgetting names, but like the healer girl, the healer.
Sharon.
Yeah, like his relationship with all the characters is, it just like fits so well. Like they complemented him so well. Like see how like look at how his relationship with Nota developed from when they were kids, and like they were a bit like there was a bit of a thing going where Nota was like, oh, I want to go home. This guy was like, oh, I have no dad. Like, and like they were different, and then as events happen, like Nora's dad dies, and like villain saves him, and they are different, but like they just work together. And something else I really loved. So when I started the book, right, and it was in first person, I was like, ah, here we go, because I don't really like first person a lot, but just the way the first person part was used to like put the story together, was used to like to guide the narrative, to show like how, because that was the only other perspective we got, and we got to see how people view Valen, which was very similar to how I viewed him. So it's just like this guy knows what he's doing, man. The writer knows what he's doing. It's
Yeah.
such a good book, man.
What I liked about that too, where we got to see Vernier's accounts, his
Yeah,
perspective,
Vanier's accounts, yeah.
was that um so the whole story was Valen telling Vernier the story, right? And
Yeah.
so, but Vernier would mention like specific parts that where he felt that Valen held back, or that Valen failed to mention something because he's keeping something from him. I think one part specifically that I remember was after after Valen told him the part of when Norta fled and went to, forgot, like that like
Yeah, yeah,
mysterious
yeah,
city.
yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Valen was like, "Oh, he just told me that that he killed Norda, or that he found Norda's medallion and stuff." And so it's really cool to see how he held some things back for specific reasons. It just adds another like layer to Valen's character, that he still has some of that secrecy. He still has some of that stuff to himself.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
didn't give Vernier the entire story, but we got
Yeah,
it.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
like also parts where he was writing down what Valen was saying, and then he exaggerated, and he was just like, oh, he liked to add some spice to the story, to his stories. That was
Yeah.
like, yes, that sounds accurate to how like someone like accounting a story would relate. Like they're
Yeah.
just like those little things that you're just like, oh, I can agree with that. I can agree with that.
So, what were some of your favorite moments?
Ooh.
Wow.
I have
Like
a
you
lot.
just blew my mind right now. Like let me like, where do I start? I loved when they walked into the bar to save their friend, and like how they just, cuz that was one of the early times we could compare, we could see how skilled they were, compared to other people, and just how they just like went in, like messed everything up, and like they just like I was just like, okay, yes. And I also liked when where he was what the aspects, right? Okay, yeah. So when he saved the aspect, when he was like
Yeah.
poisoned, and he was climbing the stairs, and yo, my guy, he was so good, man. He was so good. Like they threw the thing, he caught it out of the air. He said
Yeah.
he didn't even see the sword blow coming, but he countered it and sliced that guy's head off. Like, oh wow, like, and it's just such a yeah.
Yeah, I really like that part too because it shows how like badass he is. That
Yeah,
especially with the blood song giving him that like sort of instinct.
yeah,
I love his combat ability and just feeling the battle rather than seeing things happen.
yeah,
One of my favorite parts was when he's leading the group of people. King Janus ordered him to kill Lucius or
yeah,
what was his name?
yeah. I forget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, King Janus ordered him to kill that guy, and he had his bow ready. He was about to kill him, and like you said, the wolf comes and
Yeah, I love
you
that
know
moment too.
he ended up not killing him, and then he gets into that dream state where answer we get a lot of answers to questions that have been like brewing in the background. And I really like that part because of that, because it like sort of opened up the story from
Yes.
just being like a military story about a person's like entire life into like it showed a glimpse into the broader world and the fantasy elements of the story. And it just gave you like sort of that it gave you a hint of what's to come. It was really cool.
And that moment was really nice too because it wasn't teased from the very beginning. You know something was going on, but you didn't know exactly what. So when it happened, it was a
Exactly.
surprise, and it was like surprising, but at the same time, it was satisfying because, but it hadn't been teasing you the whole way. Like some things, it was subtle. It wasn't, everyone wasn't talking about it from page one, and then it finally happens. It was just kind of you knew something was going on.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
what a way to introduce like the fantasy aspect of it. I thought that
Yeah.
was really really cool.
Yeah. And I like that too because like you said, it wasn't like super hinted at all the time, but there were like we kept getting little drops of like fantastical elements or some like some things that we would question and be like, oh, I'm not sure what's going on right here specifically. Like I'm waiting for answers on that. And so we kept getting those little things throughout the story. And then when that part finally came, you're like, whoa, like okay, that explains some of it. And there's a lot more to come. Like it left some of the mystery to be had, and that was really cool.
I like that there were a lot of little reveals, but and they'd happen all the time. Like the girl that poisons him.
Yeah.
Just the fact that she wasn't who she said she was, and then even the fact that she poisoned him, he thought with the dagger, but then later revealed that it was when she kissed him. I mean, all these just little reveals. You go on believing for a little while one way, and then like even just believing that his father dropped him off over there, but really you get these reveals like why was he really dropped off? Because of his mom, so there's all that you go on to the story and you're not really thinking what you just think his father dropped him off. He was kind of a jerk or whatever. Now he wants him back. But then it's revealed, like these little reveals come up and you're like, oh my gosh. So I
And
liked that.
and like it's you can like very in very very subtle ways,
Hmm.
like you could see how all those events were chipping away at his, like carving out his character.
Yeah.
Like those events didn't just happen. Like it wasn't just something that happened, oh, big reveal, and then he remains the same, or like he changes into something that you can't even recognize anymore. Like it just kept chipping away at him, and by the time he's fully grown and he has his army, you feel like you know this character. You feel like you really really know the character. And Yeah, like I like how every time his dad is mentioned, it's like I have no dad,
Yeah.
I have no father. Like
Yeah.
ah, like such a and like the when Valen saw that Nada was happy and like everything was like that was such a wholesome moment because I used to feel I felt so sorry for Nota, like that his story was like so sad. Nothing was his fault. Like he was dropped there, and unlike Valen, who had already accepted it and already moved on with it, like he held on to it for so long, and then his dad died, and then like it's just like a sequence of bad events,
Yeah.
and the battle lord like calling it out and like and then cutting is like him running away, Veiling like just like going saying I'm going to kill him, and then going there seeing his boy happy and be like, you know what, be happy. Like that was a wholesome moment for me because it would have hurt if like Veiling killed him for me. It would
Yeah.
have
It
actually
was a
hurt.
doubt. Yeah.
Yes, I was like, wow. And I like how he's always making putting villain in these positions where he has this moral or these decisions, these tough decisions. And I like the way it works out. It doesn't work out in a way where I'm like, this book is sappy. It works out in a way that makes sense. It works out in a way where I can like, okay, yeah, because like, okay, when I'm reading a book like that, right, like I would of course I wouldn't have wanted him to kill Nota, but if the circumstances surrounding it don't make sense, that will piss me off too. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
don't kill the character, but like why did you make that decision? If your reasoning doesn't make sense as a reader, I'm like, nah, like, and not to compare to anything we've talked about before, but I'm just joking.
That that conversation he has with Barkus at the end.
Ah,
Oh, that was great.
mm,
That was really
mm,
great.
yeah, yeah,
That's another reveal, like
Yeah.
that. His song would go nuts, or the dog, something would happen with Barkus through the book, and you're just kind of like, okay. But then
hmm,
at the end, it's like it's not really him, you know.
hmm.
So there's all these little reveals that were foreshadowed, but you would never notice
You
until
never
it
know.
happens. Yeah,
Yes, and
I loved it.
you know something else like that. Like I think who was it? I was talking. Who was it I was talking to? I was telling someone right there. It was. I was talking to the Oathbreaker guy, like AJ
Barnett.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
AJ.
AJ and like the writer of Woodbreaker, and I was telling him that like there are two ways, right? You can do foreshadowing. You can do foreshadowing where like it's like you can say, oh, and that was the last time he saw her, right? And like as a reader you already know, okay, this is the last time they saw, and like that is that, you know but then there's another way of foreshadowing where like you say something and like it just like as a reader you just keep reading on, and then when the review comes out, it's like, wow, like I didn't even see that coming, so like I prefer that kind of foreshadowing where like you don't it's just like, oh, like maybe a random sentence, or
Hmm.
like just like some event just like happens to happen, and like
Yeah.
you like doesn't make sense to you, but like, okay, let the writer keep writing, and then at some point it's like, wow.
Yeah, like you didn't even realize it the time it was foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I
yes.
think I think he I remember that happening when Soris or Solace, but the Master Solace, he Valen had mentioned to him something about the Seventh Order, that he heard something about the Seventh Order, and I think the line was that like Master Solace like had like a grim expression on his face, or like an instantaneous like shift of expression, and then he was normal again. And then it wasn't mentioned again until we got the reveal. We got to hear more about what the Seventh Order was, and I exactly that, where like those little things that are placed throughout the story make it so rewarding when you like get the reveal, because then you're like, oh, this makes sense, that happened back then, and it's just everything connects so well. He did a great job of that here.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Once they were seven, that was all she said, and then
Yeah,
she died, and it's like, oh shit, seven what,
Yeah.
exactly.
and
Somebody described this to me as it was someone when I first started. I thought it was you, but I guess it wasn't. somebody described this to me as like it's kind of like with like the I forget what on in Game of Thrones the Night's Watch is kind of like the Night's Watch, and I think that was a good way to kind of just the setup for it, not the whole story, but just the setup is as they go through their childhood and they're kind of all misfits, and none of them get along at first, but then they grow together and they bond, and by the end they're brothers.
Yeah.
And the battles are so good too.
The battles were so good. I could see them very clearly.
And they were messy and they were violent, and they weren't like real. They weren't like dancing and all that other crap. It was like you felt they were like violent and
Yeah, I usually kind of tune out a little during an action scene, but these ones I was just glued to. So I don't know. Just action for me is like I just skimmed through it. But these ones I was just really it was exciting.
I think especially since Valen was so formidable, like he was such a cool character in that capacity where he was so like he was in a super skilled swordsman, and he had that like sixth instinct because of the blood song, and he kind of knew what was happening. That made it also really cool to read the scenes where he was fighting specifically. I really like that part of the story.
Like the book wasn't dependent on the fight scenes to be exciting. The book was not dependent on the fight scenes to be exciting. I wasn't like waiting for a fight to happen. I was enjoying the story. Yeah. When the fights happened, they happened, like whatever. They were dope. But like I was not like without the fights, the story itself, which I feel like okay, let me not talk about Malice anymore. But like the fight scenes were really, really exciting. Like the fight scenes were exciting, but it was not dependent. It didn't need to be like even without the fights, the story in itself was good.
And there's a lot of strategy too, and how they all flanked each other. They would try and outmaneuver each other. So you felt like you were there watching all this happen.
Yeah. And like it's funny how he describes things so clearly with short sentences. His sentences are not long, he has compound sentences, but when he's describing stuff, it's just a bunch of like short sentences, but like each sentence is just like well placed so that like when you read it, like it flows and it's clear. It gives you a clear image in your head.
Yeah, I really like when stories do that, like you mentioned, Steve, with the strategy. It feels like you're there. And what I really like too is that, especially with this one, you see like the thought process that they're going through, and sometimes the full plot isn't revealed, the full strategy isn't revealed. So you're like, well, like I wonder where this is going. Like you see it unfold without having like the of full knowledge, and that's really cool because then when it pays off, when everything works, you're like, wow, like that, like everything like pieced together, everything worked together, even though I had no idea what was gonna happen.
And I like that they had different orders, or different. They were healers, and then there was different like sex.
Yeah, I liked that too. That each order did something different. That was really neat. And I liked that he went and spent that time with the healers, so that he could hopefully learn more about his mother. I like that part too.
Yeah.
Like there's so much wow, like I like Kai. There's so much I like about the book. I finished it like maybe like 2-3 hours ago. So wow. I feel like I want to sit down. Like when I'm coming for stuff, like I like coming with excitement, But then like last night I could have finished it last night, but I was like, no, let me just like a few hours before so that like I come with my full excitement. But like I feel like if I sat down and like really like try to like break this book down, like I'd like there's so much there.
Yeah.
It might just. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mitch.
No. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it might be my cold black heart, but I like that it wasn't a happy ending.
Happy endings are overrated, man.
Yeah.
There's still
they leave you unsatisfied.
Of Sorry, go ahead.
No, the
Oh.
the happy endings leave you unsatisfied.
Yes.
But there's still a great amount of him overcoming things, which I like in a dark fantasy or a grimdark, is that it's not all doom. He overcomes a lot, so it's okay. That
And I think that is something that Grimdark does that it's difficult to find in other types of book because like they're going to fail so many times. Like bad stuff is constantly happening. So anytime like a protagonist or a character you like wins, it means something.
mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
means something. Like it's I said something the other day, but I might have just been saying it out of like my lack of like I've read a couple of Grimdark. I wouldn't say like I've read a lot more of fantasy, like classic fantasy, high fantasy than I have of Grimdark. And I was saying like it's like I don't really know any like Grimdark tropes. Like I haven't yet identified like Grimdark tropes, you know, and that is one of the reasons I like it because it's very its value is in its unpredictability.
Yeah.
You know,
I
that
mean,
is
I
why I like Grimdark. But I don't
yeah.
know if I read more then I'll start seeing Grimdark tropes, but I don't think so. What do you think?
Yeah. So I went into this and once I started reading, I got the vibe that it was going to be grimdark, and I related it to Game of Thrones, and so I just all throughout I had that mindset like, okay, like my favorite character is gonna die. They introduce this character, like, oh, I really like Sharon. Oh my god, something bad's gonna happen. I really like this brother. Oh my god, something's gonna happen. And even with that expectation, I really liked how he was able to subvert a lot of those expectations and like surprise me, even though I was anticipating like something shitty's gonna happen. It was always like something bad did happen, but it was not at all what I expected.
Yeah.
Especially with like Dentos, the brother that got the arrow through his chest as they were fleeing from the army. Um, I I didn't see that coming. Like I had expected so many things, and he subverted it in a way that I was surprised and like still shocked. It was really good.
Yeah.
There were so many great one-liners, and I have a couple of them tabbed, but there was a couple, like so many great quotes from this book that I had to mention. Like there was one towards the end that loyalty is another lie you use to trap the unwary in your designs. So many great one-liners like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
That was amazing.
yeah. And when he said that, the king initially was like, "How dare you?" And then he laughed because it was like,
Yeah,
"Yeah, that's
yeah, you know,
actually true."
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
there's so
yeah,
many great one-liners like that, though.
yeah.
That are
Wow,
just
what a
sprinkled in.
line!
Yeah,
Yeah,
just awesome.
yeah.
Just
Yo,
really
the
great.
dialogue was so good as well.
It was.
I loved when like the king was talking to was took Valen to that room, that bakery behind the bakery, and he was talking to that spy, and the spy was like, "Oh, I'm loyal, and look at all the information I'm giving to the king." And then the king left, and he was just looking at her, not even smiling, and he was like, "Yeah, he wants me to kill you." I was like, "Yo, like, uh, you know, like calm down, you know, like damn, like I love moments like that because like and then when he said that, right, I kind of like I because I didn't realize that before. I realized it on like I only realized it when Valen said it. And I was like, wait. I was like, she knows too much. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, just guys, so such good writing, man, such good
Yeah.
writing.
And I loved Janus and Valen's relationship for that because, well, I hated Janus because he's, you're supposed to hate him, but I really liked what the author did because Janus kept putting him in these tough situations, kept making him do these things that he didn't want to do, but that like he knew was the best thing to do. And so just the way that he manipulated Valen, and then that eventually Valen became like conscious of it. He became like privy to it, kind of like he
Yeah.
was like, okay, he started expecting, he was like, all right, let me not put myself in this position, let me not say this thing. I really like that relationship between them two.
And that's what I was talking about concerning like the character development. The first time Valen went to the king, he was very naive. He was very,
Yeah.
very naive. And the more time he spent with the king, you can see how his thinking started changing. Like it's and the writer did it so subtle that it just made sense. So from a pure, if I'm a reader, as a pure reader, if I was purely reading the book, I hate the king. But like from a writer's perspective, to write a character like that, I love the king.
Yeah.
I and it's not just the like. I don't think in terms of how like the characters, like I don't think there's a character I don't like in terms of how he was like the nuances, like how they were created. Like I'm talking from a writer's perspective now. I like every character is has a thing. Every character is different.
Has a purpose.
It has a
Yeah.
purpose.
Yeah.
Like it's not, they are not just there for being their sake.
Yeah.
Like look, Noda had his arc, and Dentos, like look what happened there. And he had a very specific kind of relationship with Dentos that made that moment hard, you know.
Yeah.
And like the princess, I love that the princess, she gets, everyone is singing poems to her and everything, and my guy is like looking at her dead in the eye, like, nah, like, you're not manipulating me today, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
let's have a real conversation. And how she starts to respect him like that because of it, like all those like they, because it's one thing to create good characters, right? It's another thing that the characters in the book have like meaningful relationships. It doesn't necessarily have to be positive, but meaningful relationships with each other. That
Yeah.
relationships that like basically, so like there's a thing, right? Like, so that writers do to show this character, right? You create a character that opposes them, and as they clash, right, their characters are getting more defined. You're seeing more, and he did that when he started doing that when uh Valen first went to the sixth, when he went to that place where like they were training the little boys and everything, all the clashes he had with those guys, and like from a negative note, and how that developed into something positive. And when they all grew up, like, you could just, it was like a flower just blossoming, like it's such a, ah, my god.
Yeah. I think I think a true testament to how well the characters were done in this story, not just Valen, the main character, is that as I was reading, I was thinking to myself, wow, I would love to have like an entire like short story dedicated to each one of these characters.
Yeah,
Like I
I
would
would
love
totally
to
dig
like
that.
hear about Norda's life. I would love to hear about Barkis's life. I would love to hear about Canis's life.
Canis.
I like all of these characters have their like you know them so well because they have their conflicts, like you said. They have their own personalities and their backgrounds, their history. That because this book is what, like 600 pages, he went into each character in enough detail that you get interested, your interest is piqued, and that I would honestly like read an entire book about any of these supporting characters.
And what makes it crazy is that he only wrote from Valen's perspective, Valen and Veneer.
Yeah,
Like, he only wrote
exactly.
from Valen's perspective, and it's so well done. Like, how do you, without like having like seen things, because without shifting perspective, you can still shed so much light on one character. It's such good writing. Damn it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't this be a great like HBO or Netflix series though?
It would be so good.
Oh, for
It would be
sure.
so good. It
Yeah.
is so good
And
because, go ahead.
no, just seeing him grow up like that in a TV series, and seeing him like go through all these trials and tribulations in like an HBO series would be so freaking cool.
The thing about that is that, like, just this book one can be like 3 seasons. Like,
Yeah.
Exactly.
a lot
Yeah.
happens, a lot happens. Like, from being a kid, growing up, like his to the test of the sword. The whole saga of the king telling him to kill that other guy, and like the magic reveal, and like everything, like the king getting more ambitious, like just everything. It's like it would be like almost like 3 seasons just this first book.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited for how much more there is to the story in these next two books because
I'm
like
so
much happening.
excited. I'm so excited. Like I feel I've read books that I'm like, like you didn't give me enough. I've read books that were too congested. I was like, nah, you know what? Like I need to read this in chunks. This book, the pace, everything was it's just so well put together. Like reading it, like it's like I got there was so much action, there was so much politics, there was so much strategy, there was war, there were how many wars were fought, like there was a siege and there was a fight where they were on the hill and they were massacring all those guys, like then there was the thing at the port, there was like so much happened, you know.
A lot happens in this book.
You know, it's a real story, pure story.
Yeah. And the thing about it is that it didn't feel rushed, which is really surprising.
Not even. It didn't feel rushed at all. It didn't feel rushed at all. Like how competent Valen is with the blade, and it's just it makes sense. Like see what they went through for God's sake. Like wow.
Exactly.
You know, like Valen got to a point where like he wasn't even scared of like his teacher anymore because like what is he gonna do? Like hit me? Like like I'm immune now, you know, like damn.
And I liked how he described the other characters. He wouldn't give you a ton of information, but he would give you enough that you had a picture of what they look like.
Yes.
Like their hands or what they were wearing, just enough to give you an idea of what they look like, but it wasn't too much.
Yeah, no. So some books that I've read, they go into like extensive detail about like the shirt that they're wearing, and then the pants that they're wearing, and the shoes, and what his nails look like. And I feel like I really liked exactly what you're saying because he gave like a few key characteristics, and then lets you fill in the rest, right? Like he was exactly.
So like, and I love The Wheel of Time, is a classic and everything, but Robert Jordan, my dude, will be describing the embroidery on the curtains, the color of the thread, and all. I used to like, I would just skip, like you know, look for where I find dialogue on the page, and then just start like maybe like a few sentences above that because like this book was so there was no point where I feel like it was a slugfest. I like it just the pace is so well done, so well done. You know, and the fact that so much is happening is like it's just he's a brilliant writer. He is a brilliant writer. I'm going to read everything he's ever done. Anthony Ryan. No, I'm not joking. That's just a fact.
I feel that way too. I really liked it.
I'm gonna go on I'm just gonna go on and like he's actually written a lot since this, so I can imagine how much he's improved. Like, what has he improved on?
Yeah.
Well, if you guys want to read, I think he has a new book called The Pariah.
The Pariah.
If you guys want to read that after we're done with this trilogy, we can do that.
I'm down, man.
That'd be fun,
down.
yeah.
I'm down. Steve,
I'm impressed.
Steve, like, what would you say, like, if they put a gun to your head and they were like, say something negative about this book, what would you say? Because I don't want to feel like I'm just gushing. I don't want to, and I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
The only thing that I kind of had to pause with was some of the jumps, like some of the flashbacks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got it after I kind of, but a couple of them were kind of like, okay, but where are we now? Like, it took me a minute to understand that we were looking back. Like, some of those moments were a little confusing, but I
would have wanted more of the blood song explained to me.
What it sounded like?
Yeah, or what is it? Or how? I know he learned how to control it, but a little more of how, and a little more story there. Like, why did it make his nose bleed? And, you know, why was he, you know, maybe just a little more. That's nitpicky because I feel like we got enough, but it was interesting to me.
I actually kind of agree with you there. When it was explained, like I was paying attention and I was like, really, I wasn't confused as to what they were explaining, but then a lot was explained like very quickly, like just like explanation, you know? But like the reason why I might not have necessarily had a problem with that is because of like the explanation was correlating with events that had happened. Like I was understanding what was happening. But usually, like when like explanation is done in chunks like that, sometimes I don't like it. I didn't have a problem with it, but well, what you're talking about, 100%. Like I can, in terms of improvement, like if I gone to my head, sure, you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it would have been cool to have more, to see more of the blood song and to get a little bit better explanation with that, but that's nitpicky. But what I agree with Steve, the first thing that jumped to my head, Epic, when you mentioned this, was exactly what Steve said, was that the transitions, not even going like into a flashback, but coming out of it, sometimes it wasn't smooth, or it was too smooth. Like I couldn't tell
Uh,
when the
Yeah.
flashback began and ended, and it was kind of, I was kind of jarred sometimes, and I'd have to reread and be like, oh, okay, this section is what happened in the past, and now he's just telling them a story or something. That I feel like the language could have maybe been done a little bit better there to make it a little clearer for the reader.
Or
yeah,
maybe even just a chapter would have been
Yeah,
if the chapter
Yeah.
ended. You know.
yeah.
yeah,
Again, that's nitpicky.
Yeah, no, but like so, like yes, I agree with you. There were some times where like I was a bit, I didn't know where like in terms of time frame I was, but like I also didn't need to read back. Like I didn't need to flip pages backwards to like, oh, where
Yeah.
does this end? And as I kept reading, it clicked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have to stop reading and like reread and be like figure it out. I didn't have to figure it out. Like I just continuously, like as I was reading, I just like got it and kept going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, but again, that's nitpicking for me. That's like the one small gripe I had with the story. Everything else was just done beautifully.
yeah, I think I prefer this book to the first law.
I
That's a
Really?
big one.
Oh, me too,
That's a
for sure.
that's a big
I'm
one.
about to start that today.
Okay,
Actually,
the first law is good. I liked
Okay.
it. I liked it. I feel the first law has such good character work. Like
I'm
it's
excited
not
for it.
it's not a perfect book. I really like it, but I know it's not perfect. But the character work is crazy. Is really really crazy.
And I like how it turns tropes on its head, on their head.
Yes, it's like
And yeah,
like every time a trope is twisted, is I love it. I love it because it's like, okay, what, like how are you going to keep, like how, what direction are you, because tropes, the thing with tropes is that once you identify a trope, you can almost kind of predict, okay, like this is, okay, this is the main character, and like
Yeah.
this is the characteristics, and then you can just see everything happening, you know. But like with the first law, like there's a twist to all the tropes, you know. And
I like that. I'm
it's
excited to start then.
yeah, it's a good book. It's a good
Yeah,
book.
they're
It's quite,
good. They're good books.
yeah,
Funny.
They are
I
funny.
found them funny.
yeah.
But
Interesting.
I did like this one better. But it took me a little while to get into First Law. But by the last one, I was like, okay, it's good.
No, the thing with me with First Law is that like because I listened to the audiobook, right? And
Oh, yeah.
when I was listening to the audiobook, like I was seeing, like there are sometimes you are becoming would describe something, and because I have like chromesthesia, so like I would see like the sound, I would see the colors, and it was like I would get like goosebumps and stuff.
Yeah,
You
that
know,
was a good audio.
yeah, that was a yeah. I told
I listened to a lot of Blood Song too. It was actually a really good audiobook.
Yeah, like I was listening to Blood Song and reading it on I was doing immersive reading, because once
Yeah.
I read like the first couple of chapters, I already had the audiobook. Once I read the first couple of chapters, then I bought the Kindle version as well. I was reading, and because I was like, I'm enjoying it. And
Yeah.
I saw, like, even with that one, I saw really beautiful colors as well. Like, but yeah, I saw, but so the difference between this and Blood Song in terms of like the chromesthesia is that I was the it was more consistent. Like with the this is so abstract. I'm talking about, nobody even knows what I'm talking about. But like with the Blood Song, throughout I was seeing colors. Like, but with the with the First Law, I had moments where I saw colors that were very intense.
Hmm.
So
That's so interesting.
yeah, it takes reading for me on
Yeah.
another level. Like I literally freeze up. Like I literally stiffen up when I'm reading, or I get goosebumps. I'm physically reacting to a book I'm reading.
It's
You
so
know,
cool. It's another layer of
it's another
experience.
layer of experience. I wish I
That's
could,
amazing.
and that's why I like audiobooks a lot, because it's through sounds I can see.
Hmm. Interesting.
I
So
was
yeah,
I was really surprised with it. Oh, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was really surprised with this, especially because I had never heard of Anthony Ryan or of A Raven's Shadow, like
Not
the
even
series.
close.
Never heard of them, and typically I'm like pretty early on in my like reading journey, I guess I would call it, because I've read a bit of fantasy, I've read a bit of like here and there. So I'm still like discovering all of these new things, and I'm sticking mostly to like the really popular ones because I'm sure people like them for a reason, right? And so when I started reading this, I went in there with like limited expectations, but I have no idea why this isn't more popular. I really don't know. Like this is so good. Like it's
So
up there with and with the other fantasy that I've read for sure.
So there's a thing with books you need to be careful about. There are popular books, right? And the popular books, they are not necessarily good. Not all of them are
Yeah.
good. But there's also a thing where like it takes a while for people to discover books. Like a writer can write a book like say in 2005, and it's in like 2016 that it just blows up and becomes popular. Whether it's
Yeah.
because the future books are much better, or he just didn't have like the marketing system
That's true.
at the start. So like you need to be careful with just reading the popular books.
Yeah.
Like look at this now. I did not like I've not Yolene is the only one on booktube that I've heard talking about Blood Song. She's the only one, like, and of course, like if you ask everyone now, they are reading like the more popular, and that's why like you should I don't know, like not all of them are good, but like if you find some really good indie authors, like like it's a special thing when you find an indie author that like gets like that you can really enjoy like their style and like the kind of stories they like telling. So be careful with that. You can just
Yeah.
watch what you can just watch Steve's channel or my channel and like
Yeah.
pick your book reviews from. I'm joking, but like yeah, do you have a booktube channel?
I do, I
Yeah.
do. I'm gonna be raving about this all over it in the
Uh,
coming months, I'm sure.
Send me your stuff. I'd like to. I'll check it out.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'll
Definitely.
put it in the
Thanks.
description too.
Yeah.
Oh,
But I
oh, oh yeah, there's a chat here.
and I think a lot of the we're talking about books being popular and kind of gaining steam. I think a lot of it has to do with just luck, because if the right person online reviews it or talks about it, then it just blows up. And
Yeah.
sometimes it doesn't.
Exactly.
Things just don't line up, and then like you said, years later, something happens to where, oh, this book is really great, and we should all read it, and then it becomes popular. So
Yeah. That's why like yeah, you need to have you need to like I like going in there, and it gets messy sometimes, but like I like going in there and like finding hidden germs and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Because if you're
Yeah.
the first person, if you're on booktube and you're the first person to discover a good book, like like that video is going viral.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, the ability for booktubers to blow up a book is insane. Like if any of you guys, if any of us or any of the bigger channels start talking about a book and it picks up popularity within the booktube community, we have such a big audience. Like the booktube community is so big that that book gets picked up, and that's crazy what it can do for indie authors or smaller authors that have trouble with that marketing.
yeah,
Yeah, we
definitely.
spoke about this on the indie panel.
Mm,
Remember, we spoke
yeah,
about this on the indie panel. Like it's booktube is like it's and booktube is growing, and the influence of booktube is increasing.
yeah,
Like where if it's like Twitter, like the feed goes after a while, like it keeps scrolling and it goes on booktube. Like if you type the name, it's going to come out. You see tons and tons and tons of reviews, you based on thumbnail, or if you're already in the booktube community and you've identified the booktubers you like, you see what your booktuber thinks about it, and like if they say it's good, and you buy it, like, and that's, I wish like when I was growing up, I had the booktube community there. I would have read so many books,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
many books, you know.
No, this community has done so much for me, especially because like you find a couple of booktubers where your tastes really align. You like you read a book that they recommend, and you're like, wow, okay, I really like this, and you start figuring out like which people have a similar taste to you. And so when they recommend a book, you're like, okay, I need to jump on that because I know I'm gonna like it, and that's just been amazing. I started reading only like 2 years ago, and I've used BookTube to discover all of these new books, and it's just been like amazing. I've read like one or two books that I haven't liked so far.
Hmm. Hmm. That's yeah, yeah. Like I've read a couple I don't like, but I don't want to piss
Yeah.
people off
Yeah.
until I do a rant review. Like just leave. I'll just leave. I won't say anything, and one day I'll just release a video and I'll just rant about it. But yeah, because like I've come to understand that like, and of course it's something you know, but then there's knowing something and then there's also realizing it. I've come to realize that taste is a very specific thing. You can find booktubers that they rave about a book, rave about it. Oh, you need to. You read the book and you're just like, wow, what a waste of time, you know. But like you find others that they tell you, like, I know, and I've said this a couple of times already. If Steve says a book is good, like, Steve is harsher than me. If Steve says a book is good, then I know it's good. He told me I was gonna like Blood Song. He's told me I was gonna like this book. Because when we're talking about the malice thing, everyone's just like, we basically had a lot of similar points, and I was like, oh, I can't wait to read this book. It's like, you're gonna like it. You're really gonna like it. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm excited now, you know. So, and the way I like it as well is like, I really, really like it. So,
Yeah. No,
So
I'm definitely gonna rave about this in all of my videos upcoming.
yeah.
Sorry, Steve, what were you saying?
no, what are your predictions for the next book or for the series? Because I've heard a little bit about the second one, and I was a little disappointed.
Yeah, me too.
But I don't want to.
You heard
See-
about the second one.
I've heard
man.
just a little. Not.
Yeah.
I don't think it's anything major, but
Okay.
I don't think it might even just be in the synopsis. But
Like a perspective change.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well,
Wow.
on one hand, it might be it's going to be a little bit of a bummer, but if that is true, but on the other hand, it could be the world opening up. There might be some other great stories to tell, or
That's
alongside. And I think I'm kind of guessing that things are going to come to a head in the third book is what I'm thinking maybe. But again, I don't know too much. I just heard that there might be a perspective change.
So, is it a perspective change on a character we already know?
I don't know.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I feel like we have gone through so much with Valen where it kind of hurts to leave that perspective in the next book, but also we have been through so much with him that there might be other things to explore. So I'm not sure how I'm gonna feel about that with the next one.
Yeah.
Well, like the one thing I was hoping for, like when you asked me, oh, like what are my predictions for? I was like, okay, more information on how the blood song thing works, and if there's more for him to learn. But then if there's a change of perspective, then wow, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, let's see what it's like. I wonder if he can, if he can create a car, if he can bring up start up at like another perspective, and like really go in depth the way he went with Valen. And I like book 2 as much as I like book 1. Then yeah, this guy is like he's a writing genius. He's a writing genius. So I guess like I would applaud his ambition in trying to do that, but that is very risky. If you ask me, it's super risky if you ask me, because I really like Valen. I really like Valen.
Yeah.
I think.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, regardless of whatever the perspective is or whatever character we get in the next one, most of, I have faith enough in this book that it was so good that he'll pull it off. That's what I think.
Yeah,
So
I was gonna say the
a
same
prediction.
thing.
That's a prediction. Yeah, I think he can pull it off as well. It's
Yeah.
just like I really, really like Villain.
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah,
he
we
can
got
pull
so
it off.
attached.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
attached.
Definitely.
So does it change on in the third one as well?
I don't know.
I don't know. We just kind of heard a little bit, and we were like, "Let's."
Oh, because we were watching Yulene's video.
Oh,
I forget what
Yeah,
video it was.
Yolene just did a video that we were watching, and I think she said
Something about
less Valen.
Les
maybe.
Valen.
That's
man.
all she said, and then I kind of like to keep going in blind, so I just
Yeah.
kind of at that point was like,
Yeah. At that point, I just comment great video, thumbs up, and I leave.
But she didn't really. I don't think she's tried to spoil
No,
anything.
it was
but-
No. That's not a spoiler per se.
Yeah.
That's not a spoiler. That's just like this is what it like. She's not telling us an event that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just this is what it is. You know, like if you read the synopsis, it'll probably even like reveal it or
Exactly.
Yeah,
so.
because she hasn't read it yet, so
Yeah.
it's just probably from.
Oh, she hasn't read it yet.
Oh,
No.
okay.
No, she just
Yeah.
read this one.
Yeah,
If you can,
she wanted to be here so bad. By the way, guys, like she couldn't
Yeah.
make it. Yeah,
I'm
Miss
really bummed
you.
about it.
yeah.
if you can read it in the synopsis or within the first like 10 to 20 pages, it's not really a spoiler in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like it's set up for the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what do you got? What would you final thoughts and ratings? What do you all think?
I rated a 5/5. I'm like, I don't rate anything a 5/5, but I rate this one a 5/5. Like, I don't like. I have to be really nitpicky to find a problem with it. And like when I picked it up, I couldn't drop it. Like I literally couldn't drop it. Like I was forgetting to eat, like type of stuff. Like I couldn't drop it until until it was done. So even the last 3 hours, the last 3 hours I used to finish the book, like I had to force myself because I wanted to come in with excitement. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm always wary to give such a good rating to a book right after I finished it. I like to sit with it for a little bit and think about it a little bit more. But right now it feels like a 5/5. It feels like you said, Epic. Like the things that I had issues with were tiny, like really getting nitpicky and looking for something to have an issue with. This story was just like incredibly done. The character work, I love character work, and it was just impeccable. And not just with the main character, with everybody else. And I think it was just like the perfect story for me because of that, because I got so much great characters.
For me, I gave it a 4 because I really loved it. But my 5 is Kings of Paradise, Kings of Ash, Kings of Heaven. And I really loved this book and I enjoyed every minute of it, but I didn't get the type of emotional reaction that I get when I read Kings of Heaven or when I just recently read Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. So while it was really good, it's just under 5 stars for me. It was still good though.
That was a 4.5.
Yeah.
But then now that we're talking about it and have time to reflect, I think it's a 5.
Yeah, see, I'm with Mitch too. Like, I may have rated it too soon, but when I rated it, go ahead.
I totally get that. I'm going to read those books now because of what you said. But
Starting next month.
I'm down, man. You know,
Yeah.
Steve, I'm down for anything, man. Like I enjoy having discussions with you, man. Like, so I'm down, man. Like, and I'm really, really interested in seeing. I'm really, really interested in seeing where this story goes. Like, I'm as invested as I can be about any book. You know, like he said, what is most important to me is the characters. Because with the characters and like I said, for instance, in the first law, it's not a perfect book, but I like it so much because of the characters.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so like it's like if the character is done well, but like this book is done well, the characters are done well, but every other part of it is good as well. So it's like It's a 5/5 for me. And me, I want to see when I'm doing the review, because when I'm doing the review on my channel, like I'd like to break it down, plot, and all that stuff, you know, like break it down, plot, prose, all that stuff, and maybe I'll be more critical. But even then, I don't think, I think it will still be a 5/5.
Nice.
It was a really fun read.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was emotional. It was just. I thought it was good.
Oh, and Mitch can't see us, but you can still hear us.
Yeah, my computer is having a moment right now. I'm not really sure what's happening, but I can still hear you guys. So
We can see you.
Yeah, we can see you.
We can
okay,
see
that's
you.
good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Just
So
tap
before-
to make sure. Nice.
Got it.
So before we go, I just want to. I'm not sure if either of you know we're having our Just Because meetup later tonight. So you're both invited if you want to come hang out. There's no set topics or anything. It's just come and hang out and talk. So
What time?
it is 6 o'clock Eastern. I'm not sure
So
what time.
that'll
it
be
is.
3 o'clock. Okay. I'll message you on Discord if I'm
Okay,
available.
yeah, if you can make it, I'll send you the link, and then if you can make it,
Yeah.
it's cool. If not, no
Yeah.
big deal.
It's very
Sounds good.
relaxed. You could just pop in,
Yeah.
pop out. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, sounds good.
I'll text you on Twitter and see if I can make it then. That's
Okay.
just 3 hours from. Yeah, I'll see if I can make it then.
Yeah.
I'll let you know.
Cool.
Mitch, I just subscribed to you. I'm just gonna go down a wormhole in your channel right now.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I looked into your channel the other day because I saw that Steve had posted this to get posted today, and so I've gone through your channel already. I love your stuff.
Oh,
Oh,
thank
nice.
you. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate
course.
that.
It's always good making new friends.
Yeah.
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 I'm glad you got to join us this time, Mitch. It's cool that you were able to catch on this one.
Yeah, me too. I'm really happy to be here. Love this book. Love this buddy read. I hope we can do this again sometime because this was so much fun.
We have so
100%.
many.
Yeah.
There's so many going on. There's plenty of them to jump on. We have so many. But yeah, so the next one's on Yolene's channel, and then Epic, you're doing the third one.
Yeah.
And then Mitch, if you want to host the Pariah after that.
Cool. Yeah, I'll look into that for sure.
Is the
Cool.
Prior a single book or is it like a trilogy?
I think it's either the beginning of a series or it's a single book.
Oh, okay.
I think it just came out. So
Okay.
Nice.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm excited. This has been like so much fun talking to you. I love being able to have like a conversation, especially like right when we finished the book. Epic, like you said, he finished it like 3 hours ago. I finished it like a couple hours ago too, and this has been a lot of fun, honestly.
nice. Yeah, I love these. Are so much. That's why we're always doing them because it's just a blast. So
Yeah, that's like
Yeah.
the best part of reading, talking about it, you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
Exactly.
exactly. So thanks again, guys. I guess it's we'll go ahead and call it. But yeah, I love the book. Excited to read the rest of them.
Definitely. Thank you guys
Cool.
so much. Thank you for having me here. It was so much fun.
Yeah, it was a blast.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys. See you.